All right, I'm gonna do a little quick intro here today. We are joined by Grant Cardone. He's an entrepreneur. He's a real estate investor. He's a sales trainer. He's got a lot of different things going on. He's built a multi-billion-dollar portfolio on the real estate side of things. He's leading the 10X movement, which he created. His company owns thousands of apartments. He manages billions of dollars assets. I'm super excited today. He's got a great book out there. I know many of you have read, which is the 10X rule. So we're gonna ask some question about that and how it applies to the AI world. He's also on one of the shows I loved watching. It was Undercover Billionaire, so it was kind of fun seeing Grant do that show. That was cool to see and see what those guys were up to, trying to build $1 million business in less than I think it was 90 days or 60 days. Either way, it was really fast, which is really cool. Thanks for coming on the show, Grant.
Roland, thanks for having me, and shout out to all the hardworking blue-collar jobs out there. You guys are going to control the universe here in the next 2 to 5 years. And while AI is going to assist you in that process, nothing will ever replace those people that are taking care of homes, apartment buildings, roofs, HVAC, landscaping. Like, you guys are the pulse of America and the mainstream. This is what makes everything else work in this country, and I don't take you guys for granted. I started in the space, so one of my first jobs was HVAC, and the other was in roofing. So I know that there's plenty of opportunity out there, and in 60 years, it's just gotten bigger.
Oh yeah, and it continues to grow. And I like to say that our pros have standing jobs, and standing jobs are not in risk. Sitting jobs like me and you are more risk of AI. But I would say in general, you talk a lot about the 10X rule, and I feel like AI is 1,000X. How does kind of your rules, your mindset, your philosophy still apply in a world where there's going to be either a hybrid or some sort of mixture in AI usage, especially in the home services space?
Yeah, well, look, I just step back a second. When I saw social media 12 years, 13 years ago, I didn't see it as a place to go play. Mm-hmm. I saw it as a place to get my brand and my message out. I'll get to the AI thing here in a second, but I was 54 years old when I saw Facebook and YouTube, and I said, man, I'm going to build my brand across these platforms for free. I like that. I was raised by a single mom, so we didn't have any money. And if you grew up poor, or you grew up in the middle class or lower middle class, and you didn't know about wealth or how to create it, and you didn't have access to funding or to connections, then you have to look. The benefit of that is when you don't have money and connections, you have to look. If you're committed, you're going to look around the corners, you're going to look for cracks, and you're going to find opportunities. And for me, social media, when I saw it, I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be able to expand my brand and my name with no ad budget, because I didn't have any money for advertising. And even if I had some money, Roland, I was concerned about converting it. Like, you'll spend money if you know how to convert it. So here we are, fast forward to 2025, and you have this AI renaissance.
Kind of an opportunity here, yeah.
Dude, it's like nobody understands this thing, okay? I spent 2 hours on AI this morning just writing ad copy for myself. At the speed at which this thing can operate is mind-boggling. Every time I do it, I'm like, oh my God, bro. Like, I wrote 3 ads this morning that I know are going to kill. Because I've already, basically what I did was I copied some other ad copy that got my attention from another company. I grabbed it. It was selling pillows, but it was so compelling that I'm like, okay, I'm going to use that. Tell AI, I'm going to give AI, basically a direction to go change this ad to sell a product I'm interested in. And now, that being said, it can write the copy, but who's going to convert the sale? We're a long way from AI selling that job.
Yeah.
And I think that those jobs will not be replaced in the next 2 or 3 years. I don't see AI replacing a real person talking to a real person in real time without the delay to respond to that ad. So whether you guys are taking calls or making calls or knocking on doors still or doing direct mail, all those things are going to continue to work in the future, particularly for those who can 1,000X your presence by using AI.
I love the way that you put it. Is think about AI as an extra tool in your tool belt. It's not going to replace you. Don't be afraid of it, right? That little robot's not going to do all your work, but that's going to give you the leverage to be able to do that 1,000X. Like you said, you saw some on the internet, you liked it, you gave it a little bit of knowledge. AI knows a lot about Grant Cardone because a lot of content about you online. So it can probably spin something up that sounds exactly just like you with something you like. But the creativity is still there. And then the effort that you're putting behind it, I think is still there. And you talk a lot about, just putting in massive amounts of effort, more than you even think, So tell me a little bit about this. If you are a small home service business, you've got under 10 employees, maybe you're just even starting in a market, what would Grant Cardone do? Like, what advice would you give? Where do people start? I know you're a relationships kind of a guy. How do those things translate into home services space?
Yeah. So what I do is I look for, again, back to the cracks and around the corners.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in a completely different financial situation today than I was when I started my career at 28 years old, but I still operate like I have no money. And the beauty of not having money is you come up with solutions that don't cost you money. And so, like you mentioned that show Undercover Billionaire that I did. I was dropped off in Pueblo, Colorado with no money, no credit cards. They gave me $100. I said, I don't even need the 100, guys. Why give me 100? 100, you're already broke. So you keep it the 100. And the goal was to build $1 million business in 90 days. And I couldn't use my name and I could not use social media, which I referenced earlier.
Mm-hmm.
They gave me a phone with no contacts in it. They took my old phone away and I couldn't call any of my buddies for help. Shaved my head and they dropped me off. I had no place to live, no food, no water, and I had to hustle. And this is actually documented. This happened during COVID, by the way. Nobody knew COVID was going to hit. I built a $5.5 million business in 88 days. And I did it by making contacts. And, I am a relationship person. By the way, everybody watching this right now, you're a relationship person, whether you know it or not. Your relationships will determine how much money's in your bank account.
Yeah. And so let's say you are that home service company and you're trying to build relationships. Like, who would you go to? Where? Like, give me something practical.
I would go to people that are qualified.
Would you knock the door first?
Yeah, I would go to people that are qualified and I would leave everybody else alone. Mm-hmm. So what I did in Pueblo, when you have 90 days to build a business, who do you want to spend your time with? People that are in business. I don't want to go build a business. I want to drop into a business. Now, the guy that had done that show the year before me, he started a new business. I'm like, why, dude? Like, why start a new company? Go find, if you're flying from Philadelphia to LA, you're just going to go get on a flight. You're not going to build a plane. So many people are starting from scratch and you don't need to. So for instance, back to your question about the guy that's got 10. I wrote a book called The 10X Rule. What I'm interested in doing at all times is 10Xing wherever I'm at. So if I have 10 employees, I want to go to 100 because I'm going to make more money, period. If I have one location, 10 times the locations, I'm going to make more money. Okay. Right. If I have one product or one service, I want 10 products or services that make the same money. I'm going to make more money. I don't want to be dependent upon one of anything except for one wife. Okay. You don't need 10 wives. Okay. One's complicated enough. So the point is the 10X rule was basically for those people that want more. And I would expect your audience is about expansion, not staying the same place. I want to expand. Because if you don't expand, if you're a flat line, you're going to die. All flat lines end up going to zero. And so what I want to do is I'm trying to fight inflation, right? And you need more contacts. So where would I start if I had a small HVAC company, or maybe I have no employees? Yeah. Probably the easiest way is to go buy another company, go consume another HVAC.
Okay. Let's say you have no money. Let's say you got a $100 bill.
Oh, particularly with no money.
Are you going to SBA it? What are you going to do?
No, what you want to do is you want to go find a guy that's tired. He's been in the business 30 years. He's 70 years old. He's sick of the business. He's terrified by AI. He hates social media. COVID beat him up. He's worried about inflation. He's tired of the system. Everything's changing on him. He's like, I hate doing this. I would go to him and say, bro, give me the keys and I'll pay you to not be here. I'll pay you every month. Give me the keys. Whatever you're making now, I'll pay you that. And I'm keeping the rest. You stay home. I'll pay you to stay home. I'll pay you to go. And I'll tell you what, I'll send you on a cruise twice a year. Just stay home. and then you would drop into his business. There's 32 million small businesses in America. 10 million of them, okay, are going to go out of business this year. 10,000 baby boomers drop out of the workforce every day. There's so much opportunity in existing companies today that people could go out and grab, but you got to have this. You really have to have a different kind of mindset to do this. Or you could take your 10 employees and add one. Guess what? You will lose money going from 10 to 11. If you can figure out how to scale the way you guys are and the way the space is, the way Blackstone does, right? If you could think the way the giants think, scale the business, move up 10 notches, you're not going to get all 10. You're going to get 6, but you're still going to be bigger. But it requires a much bigger level of think, and you cannot be satisfied with where you're at.
Yeah, it's, shoot for the stars, land on the moon, and so you no matter where you kind of point it at, you're going to be more than where you're at before in a way that is more than just adding one, right? Or more than just adding two. And speaking of that 70-year-old, this is super interesting because you have this mindset of like never retire. But in the home services space, you got to find a different way to do it because at 70 years, your bones are falling apart, your joints are falling apart, you're tired of crawling the crawl space in the attics. How do you see that transition for home service business owners that maybe are thinking about selling, and what does that look like? Is there a retirement? Is it a different kind of retirement? What'd you give them? Like, what kind of advice?
Good. I'm the 70-year-old that you're talking about, right? But if you want to last a long time, scale. Okay.
Yeah.
If you want to die a middle class life with a bunch of back problems, then don't scale. And there's really look, I'm not a politician, but if I was, I would just tell people the truth. If you're not going to scale, you're going to be punished. You're going to be punished with higher taxes, and you're going to be punished by inflation. If you want freedom, you have to get rich. And the HVAC, everything, dude, everything in this space, electricians, plumbers, roofers are going to get rich. Okay. I'm telling you, it is coming. The $130,000 is going to pay somebody $350 in the future. And so if you don't scale, you're not going to be able to afford these people.
Yeah.
That means you probably have to, at some point, consolidate and become part of a public company.
And do you think so? Let's talk a little bit about that because I think there's a lot of.
Let me just say, Roland, that requires. I'm sorry, that requires a completely different mindset from how much you're making on one job to you. You're going to have to go. This is where AI becomes useful. You could go onto AI and say, how big would I need to get? How many companies would I have to consolidate with? Okay. See, like if you want to get big, what you'd want to do is, and I was referring to this earlier, is you want to make a list of qualified buyers or candidates. I need a target. Like if you want to make $1 billion, you can't go to poor people. If you want to make $1 billion, you got to go to people that have $1 billion. And you got to change the target that you're looking for. So you'd run your HVAC business and grow that, and in your the other 3 or 4 hours a day, you're searching for a $1 billion score. How would I do that in this business? AI would actually show you who's done it and how to do it.
And do you think that's the kind of the only path, or do you think there's a path to just like building this cash flow machine and never sell or leave a legacy business maybe for your kids?
Maybe, but if you're only going to leave, your kids aren't going to want it.
Yeah.
If it's one shop with 11 employees, and look, everybody knows it's a pain in the ass. Like you got 11 employees, 3 divas, 3 average guys, and 3 poor performers. Okay. The only reason you keep the poor performers is because you're scared the divas are going to leave, and the divas aren't even that good. And then you wake up every day wondering who runs the business. I mean, who owns this company? Is it the divas, or is it like you're never getting out of the loop, dude? It's like being in prison. You're the warden and the prisoner.
Yeah. So how do you change that? So let's say you are in that situation. What would you do to kind of like reform or kind of reframe, and how would you rebuild from that point? Like, let's say you listen to this and you're like, what Grant's saying, I got the 3 divas. Yes, I hear that. How do I change?
The thing to do is, look, I was this guy. I am exactly this person. I spent 20 years running a business where I did everything. I believed that no one else could do it better than me. I couldn't find another me.
Yeah.
I had all the wrong ideas, dude. I said, okay, I got to make a lot of money and I got to keep a big margin. Today we have 1,500 employees. We'll do about $1 billion in revenue this year. My margins are down from when I made $2 million.
Sure.
I was making $2 or $3 million a year, doing all the work on the road, 250 days of the year. I couldn't scale. I was thinking like a middle-class person. No offense to the middle class, but guys, it doesn't work anymore. It worked in 1950 and 1960 because we had an expanding middle class. Today, it doesn't work because of inflation. We print too much money. Taxes are too high, too much competition, blah, 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 right? So now what do you got to do? The owner has to change his mindset or her mindset. You have to start thinking, if your company's doing 3 or 4 or 5 million bucks a year, you need to start thinking, what would the company look like if I went to 40 million? How many employees would I have? What would my ad budget be? What would my new problems be? If you're tired of your business, it's because you don't have new problems. It's not because you have problems. It's because you have the same bullshit problems over and over and over. Those are the ones that kill people.
Yeah.
Give me a new problem.
What do you think, for people, because you say that everyone underestimates the level of action needed to get to where they want. And, our pros, they're just, there's so much demand for great pros, and our pros are great pros. And so they've got lots of work. The hardest thing is finding good people to start to delegate to kind of scale. When you say like massive action, what should that look like for that pro without them burning out? Is this like, you're spending a certain percentage of your time thinking about what does that $40 million a year business look like? Does this look like, hey, how do I build the right margins? So maybe I do have a $5 million a year business, but I can take home, $500,000 to $1 million in cash, and I'm happy. I'm in the 0.1%, of US net worth. What does your advice look like for that?
Well, dude, look, if you're seduced by $1 million, I don't have any advice for you.
Mm-hmm.
So sorry, but good for you. You have your goals and you've achieved it, but you got 30 years left. Now what? You're going to live, you're 67 years old and you're going to live till you're 97 on $1 million. You are underestimating the corruptness of the US government. I'm like, they're going to take all that money from you. They're going to make sure you live longer. And if you die on the way there, your kids will not want your business. Like everybody's like, oh, I'm building generational wealth. Your kid will not want in 20 years your little HVAC business. Now they'd want shares because you went public in an HVAC business. Like I don't want to pass my company. You see what I'm saying? Like, look, I don't have any advice for people that want to settle. I'm not your guy. Okay. Like go listen to Dave Ramsey. I am for those people that want to create immense amounts of wealth. They want to expand their brand. They want to scale their business. Like I'm not, I am brashly telling people, get rich as you possibly can. By the way, you're in the right space. I couldn't have said this to you 10 or 15 years ago. It is game time. This is your Sunday to get rich, and it's probably going to last for 2 or 3 years, and then it's going to pass. But if you wanted to create immense wealth right now, for those in your audience, like this is your moment to do that. But you'd have to go from being a guy satisfied with $1 million to saying, hey, what would my life look like if I made $1 million a month?
Mm-hmm.
Then it gets juicy, bro. Because look, really going from $1 million a year to $1.1 million, nobody's going to change anything. Nobody's going to change. Like nothing changes. Your wife won't encourage it. What's another $100,000? The government gets it all. So what I want to do is I'm like, but what if you could go to $1 million a month? How much would your life change? And by the way, you would be doing less work, working fewer jobs, but you're going to be running more people. You're going to be spending more time learning about how to scale and doing less work.
So let's talk about that. So in order to do less work, you really need to get out of working in your business, working on the business, and you
That's
got
right.
to find people that can do the work that you bring in. How do you attract that level of talent that has that same, maybe veracity is the right word, that same hunger, but they're going to end up doing their own business if they're truly that hungry. So where do you find that balance? Like how do you start that first step?
Well, you're not going to find people that hustle as hard as you do. So
No.
don't that you shouldn't look for that. But number two, you also need to not think that there's no good people out there. There's plenty of good people out there. But if you're not looking for them, you're not going to find them. If you hire one person and then they're not a good person, then you say, "Oh, there's no good people out there." Well, it's because you're not hiring enough people. You're not looking at enough people in enough different locations, by the way. So if
Mm-hmm.
I have 1,500 employees and you have 11, I'll probably have better people than you do.
Mm.
And I probably have a lot more worse people than you do.
Yeah, the chances are high on either side of the spectrum for sure.
Exactly. But I am less dependent upon people than you are.
That's true too. Yeah, because you're
See?
diversified portfolio. You don't have all stock in Nvidia. Like,
Yeah,
you're
exactly. Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, but, back to the one wife. I got one wife. Okay. But I got 1,500 employees. I'd like to have 15,000 employees, man. Because the more
Mhm.
employees you have, the less you have to manage employees. You're managing a book of business. Okay. It's not harder. It's just we weren't brought up to think like this. We were brought up to think, get a good job or build a business, pay attention to the business, save your money, put it away, and retire when you're 70 and go on a cruise. And you don't have to do that. You could be like, hey, I wanna be like Blackstone is gonna do more HVAC in the future than you're doing.
Of course. Yeah, of course. I mean, they're massive, right? They're
Without
massive.
knowing anything about HVAC, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
they're not asking themselves the same questions that you're asking me, which is like, how do I find good people? Scale. How do I get more money? Scale. How do I keep the people that I have and they don't leave me? Give them shares in your company. They won't leave.
I think that's actually, I'm glad you bring that up. I don't think enough small businesses give enough of their employees actually some real skin in the game, which is some sort of shares. And
Well, you
sure,
can't.
there's like,
Yeah, you
yeah,
can't. If you're only making $1 million a year, how are you going to give it to 6 other people?
yeah, yeah.
You're like, I'm broke.
Mm. Well, you could profit share, and depending on how you're structured, if you're an LLC, you can do ghost equity, ghost shares, you're
Yeah.
not structured as a Delaware C. So yeah, there's
But
definitely different
there still
structures.
needs to be more money. There still needs to be more money to share, right?
Yeah, the pie's too small.
Yeah,
Each
exactly.
employee's only gonna get one bite, rather
Yeah,
than a slice. Yeah.
exactly.
That makes sense. Let's talk a little bit about you. You're really great at getting your brand out there. You're definitely a very polarizing individual. A lot of people
Thank
love you.
you.
A lot of haters on the other side. But
Thank
either
you.
way, you
Thank
have a
you.
great way at grabbing people's attention. So if you're to advise, let's say a local landscaping company, how do they begin to build their brand? Like, what's kind of the first step? Do they just got to get on social media and post every week like you? Do they, what do they film? How do they even get started? Like,
Yeah.
how do you tell someone to do that?
Well, number one, you have to, the first thing is to get started is to make a decision. I have to brand. So if
Yeah.
you're a company out there and you brag, this is your motto. We're word of mouth. We don't advertise. All our business comes from word of mouth. Okay. Like that's not a compliment. I know you
Mm-hmm.
think it is, but you don't want to say that,
Mm-hmm.
so I know because I used to say that. All my business came from referrals and we didn't advertise. And it was a big, big mistake. It cost me billions of dollars in revenue without exaggeration. Because
Wow.
I wasn't reinvesting in the brand. And then when social media came around, I was like, I don't have to spend money. Now I just have to invest energy.
Yes. Yeah.
So
And
how would you do
so
that?
how they reinvest that? So tell me something like super practical. What should they be saying? What do you think would resonate for that? Someone wants to dominate their local town.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about the internet. We're not talking about the entire world that knows about Grant Cardone. We're talking about a small local landscaper They want to dominate their spot, their county.
Yeah, you're in Lake Charles, Louisiana. You're running an HVAC business. You got 12 or 13 employees. Dude, you want to bomb Lake Charles, Louisiana. Every job you do, you want to post. Every landscaping job, heads you cut, HVAC you did, roof you did, anything, whatever the home services space you're in. Every time you're doing a job, you want to be like the best service, like constantly banging.
But yeah, I think what some people might have heard there, which is a little bit confusing, but you unpack it a little bit here, but there's a golden nugget hidden here, which is like, you are the lowest price for the service you provide, which doesn't necessarily mean you're the lowest price amongst all, because no one can give the same level of service that you do.
That's right.
And so I think for some people, they're like, oh, this is race to bottom. Come on, Grant, I can't say that. Aren't I supposed to 10X my prices? You're the 10X guy. So
that's right.
That's not what it's about. That's not what it's about.
My job's $12,000, and you found a cheaper job for 10.2, and the guy's like, you said you were cheaper. I am cheaper, dude. I'm cheaper. I'm faster. I'm better. You pay price one time. What happens after that? That'll change everything. Look, I got 14,200 units. They all need HVAC, folks. Okay, I'm a perfect client. Don't disagree with me. Come sell me your HVAC. Okay, so you don't want to be the lowest price? Okay, got it, man. I'm with you. I want a margin. Okay, what I want is more business. But if you tell me in your pitch, we're not the lowest price, I'm turning you off right there. So you don't want to say that. You got to reprogram the way you're communicating with people, so that I can expand my business. I need to Amazon my business. I need to Walmart my business. I need to Costco my business. Not because I'm a lower margin. Those businesses advertise one thing and deliver something else. And so. Look, if you don't want to use the lower price, come on, no problem. But I'm going to use it. I'm going to use free. I'm going to be like, hey, free estimate in your neighborhood. I'll be there tomorrow between 2 and 4. Who wants it? I'm already there doing a job. And I'm going to bang that out. Every time I do anything, I'm going to bang out on social that I did it. Yeah. And maybe I get lucky.
Well, I don't think it's even just about luck. I think it's about showing up every single day. And when you're putting out content like that, at a certain point, it's going to catch someone at some right time, and you're going to catch something versus someone that does nothing. Right?
I'm going to get lucky. I'm going to get lucky. I believe in luck because I'm going to make my luck because I'm going to show up. And then somebody's going to be like, man, you're always getting lucky. Yeah, bro, because I post about everything I do. And with that comes haters. That's right. The haters, the first level of haters, this is how you know if your branding's working. In the very beginning of your branding, when you start pushing out hard, and we push hard, like there is no limit to which I won't post something. I could post every 3 minutes. I could post every 30 seconds. I like whatever. They're not going to stop me. X on Twitter or X, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, they're not going to say like you're posting too much. That will never happen. And they're not going to charge you anything either.
No, because they monetize it in other ways. That's right.
Yeah. So the reason I'm their content, right? So they're doing me a service and I'm doing them a service. You'll know if it's working when your competitor starts complaining. When your competitor starts like, oh, you're posting too much, you're bragging too much. You can't say that you're the lowest. You can't say you're the best. You can't say you're dude. When they start complaining, you know it's working.
Yep. Yeah. You hit a nerve. They're under the skin, or they were on a job and they said, you know what, this Cardone guy, landscaper, said he could do it, this thing there, So yeah, that is a good signal. I think the other good signal you always talk a little bit about is fear. And I think when people see fear, there's multiple different reactions to it. But I think that's someone else's fear showing you that it's working. Your own fear is what you should be running towards. And if you don't have any fear, you're probably not pushing hard enough anyways. So tell me a little bit about how that might apply to someone that is in the home services space. Is there any other piece of advice around that fear-based kind of signal or maybe compass that you think would be helpful for our home service pros to listen to?
Well, look, I mean, if you're not scared, then you're not pressing into a new space, right? You're going to go to Thanksgiving this year, and you're not going to be scared when you go to Thanksgiving. You know everybody there. You know their stories. You know what they like to eat. You know they like your little sweet potato thing that you make, your casserole you make. Everything's predictable. But that's not where growth is. Growth is not where it's predictable. Growth is where there's new conversations, new names, new people. You're not the smartest person in the room anymore. You know, everybody's not looking to you for the answer. Nobody even knows you. Those are fearful, unnecessary, by the way. These are unnecessary things to do to get into uncomfortable environments. And I'm really speaking to the person that's, you're very predictable. Your life is predictable. There's no new problems popping up. You're in the same lazy boy you've been in for 20 years. Your income's been the same for the last 20 years. You have the same problems for the last, 15 or 20 years. There's no fear. Maybe fear of dying.
Sure.
So, and this is where burnout exists, by the way, Roland. Burnout does not happen because somebody works too hard. Burnout does not happen because you're working too many hours. Burnout happens because it's the same thing, bro, over and over and over and over again. The moment we add some new randomity, some new problems, some new situations, people become interested and curious again. And I think this is more important than the money, by the way. The richest part of my life is that I'm curious, constantly curious. That's where wealth really comes from. I'm constantly curious. I'm interested. I'm energetic. I'm looking for new opportunities. I got new issues that I got to figure out how to solve and resolve.
So let's talk about this newness, and this is, I think, a perfect kind of good start to kind of conclude this. What is that main key takeaway that our pros should take away from this session here? What do you think would help them grow? Is it a mindset shift? Is it they work on one particular thing and just nail that before they go on the next? Do they just get a fire under them? What would you tell them?
Stay curious, man. Stay curious, and stay innovative and stay, hustling. You gotta keep hustling. So I play a little trick with myself, right? When I was growing up, it's easy to be motivated around money when you don't have any. I was 25 years old. I didn't have any money. I was in debt, 40,000 in debt. Couldn't make my apartment bill, $275 a month. And dude, I had to go hustle money. Well, today my financial situation is a little different. I got 5 businesses. We do $1 billion worth of revenue. How do I create that same hungry mentality? Well, guess what? I stay broke. I actually trick myself. I play a game. I take all the money out of my business. I suck it out of my business, and I go invest it in either another similar business that I can scale or into other investments like my real estate. I'm always broke. So I never have money. I don't have retirement accounts. I don't have a 90-day account. I'm a hustler, baby. So I got to hustle, dude. I'm enforcing hustle on myself. I don't wait for COVID or the government or taxes to do it. I enforce it on myself. And so I take money from my main business, from the HVAC business in the case of your audience. I take the money, I suck it out. I don't sit with a bunch of cash in my accounts. I need payroll and I need whatever, inventory I need.
The basics,
I keep that.
The basics. Yep.
I don't have a surplus. I don't believe in Vanguard or Fidelity or Merrill Lynch. I believe in me. And I take my money, I go invest it in other things where I'm not liquid. I can't get the money back out. Real estate would be a great thing for your HVAC because they're in the real estate business now anyway.
That's right.
And I would take the money out of the HVAC, go buy an apartment building with it. I got another customer now, my apartment building. And then I would stay on zero and go hustle more HVAC jobs and repeat that activity and dump out. I would have no money in my account. Every 90 days, I would dump out to zero, buy more investments, get more customers from that investment, and then go hustle my HVAC business. Stay curious and stay hungry.
I love it. Those are great words. I definitely believe in continuous learning. If you're a pro out there, You're clearly learning because you're tuning in today to our virtual Winter Summit. You're clearly learning new things here. There's a lot of great golden nuggets here we're going to extract for you all after this podcast. Thank you, Grant, so much for coming on here today. Any last shout outs or any other last tidbits you'd like to leave the audience with?
What I want to do is there's a book back here called the 10X rule. And I don't want to give it to your guys to read, but what I want to do is give them a link to the download so they can listen to it in their car. If this resonated with you and you want some of this energy going into 2026, I read the book to you. It is fantastic. It will get you off of where you're at. And it might not just 10X you, it might 100X your business, and definitely will 100X your thinking.
I love it. Thank you so much, Grant. This has been awesome. We'll share that link with anyone here that's been watching and tuning into this session. This has been great. It's been a pleasure. And I'll see all of you guys on the next session. Thanks so much, Grant.
Thanks, Roland.